Hi, you're watching the NHL to Houston YouTube channel, and in this video I'm going to discuss on ways the NHL could come to Houston, and I'm just going to talk about different relocation scenarios on who could move to Houston, and I'm going to talk about possible further expansion possibilities like getting an expansion team after Seattle, like going to a 34 or 36 or 40 team NHL. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to start off with the relocation ideas on who could move to Houston. So the first one, the most obvious, would be the Arizona Coyotes. And with the Seattle Kraken starting in the 2021-2022 season, the Arizona Coyotes are going to the Central Division. And that raises the question, because it does seem a bit odd with the Coyotes playing in the Central Division if they stay in Arizona, because they were much closer to the Pacific Division teams than the Central Division teams, and the only closest Central Division team they would have is the Avalanche, which is in Colorado, which, Arizona is kind of diagonal from Colorado. And that's the only closest one they would have. All the others would be in Central Time Zone with Dallas, Minnesota, St. Louis, Chicago, Winnipeg, Nashville. So, those teams are on the Central Time Zone, and then because the Coyotes are on Mountain Time, and the only other team in the Central on Mountain Time is the Avalanche. The easy way you could have done it, I know it would suck to split up the Oilers and the Flames. Those would have been the other candidates they could have moved into the Central with the Seattle expansion. But I think the idea, they would have to, if you had to keep Calgary and Edmonton and then move them into the Central, the only way you could have moved was Colorado into the Pacific and move Calgary and Edmonton into the Central. And with the Coyotes coming into the Central Division, because they're having troubles trying to find a new arena, and then if they don't find a new arena, it would make them easy enough for them to move to Houston. They can even keep the name Houston Coyotes, or who knows, maybe any of a Houston NHL team could use the arrows, which this jersey is pretty much from the AHL/IHL era, but it's an AHL jersey. But this is an homage to the WHA Houston Aeros. But let's get back on topic. So yeah, with the Coyotes coming to Houston, it could, it would keep the divisions even with them moving to Houston, and they could even, they already have Dallas in the division, which they could form the instant rivalry with the Dallas Stars. So you could have the Houston Coyotes and Dallas Stars rivalry. The Dallas Stars and the Arizona Coyotes were in the same division at one time when the Dallas Stars were in the Pacific Division, which, so there is kind of a history there with the Stars and the Coyotes being in the Central Division, which the Stars and the Coyotes will be in the same division again with the Coyotes going to the Central. And I know it will help, and then a move to Houston will also help their travel problems, because with them staying in Arizona, they'll struggle on their travel. They'll have a lot of traveling to do. With Houston, they wouldn't have much traveling with their, wouldn't have all the travel problems with their Central Division teams. So that's that. So maybe the Seattle Kraken is setting up for the Houston Coyotes. So it's a good possibility. So maybe, and maybe the Coyotes move to Houston in 2021, the same year the Seattle Kraken starts. Or maybe they'll start in, a couple years after. They'll move to Houston a couple years after when the Seattle Kraken start up. So it is interesting to think about. In other relocation options that could come to Houston are the Florida Panthers and the Ottawa Senators. And, the Ottawa Senators are in a bit of a turmoil with the ownership with Eugene Melnyk, which is, pretty much running that team to the ground. In Ottawa, that team needs to find solutions of a new owner to keep the team there, or just sell the team to Rockets owner Tillman Fertitta, or Melnyk should just move the team to Houston and just sign an agreement with Tillman Fertitta, and Tad Brown, who's the Rockets CEO and the CEO of the Toyota Center, and have an agreement with the Harris County Houston Sports Authority as well for the Senators to play in Houston. But and you also have the Florida Panthers, who always have attendance issues and are one of the teams that are losing money. And with the pandemic, these three teams might not be one of the teams that may not be in those current cities in the coming years, because the pandemic with all this could, hurt these, teams, because, it could hurt, the Coyotes may not have the money to get a new arena, and, probably Melnyk will try to move the Senators somewhere where he can make financial money, because with the Ottawa fans, they're boycotting him, so that's, making him hurt his money, so they're kind of, forcing him to sell, or he could just move the team, because even Melnyk did in 2017 at, at a, alumni game, threatened to move the team like that it could look good somewhere else, and maybe, Houston could open them in open arms. And with the Florida Panthers, they would just have to wait to be sold. Maybe, with Tillman Fertitta, maybe he could have the money around the time if the Florida Panthers are up for sale. Maybe that would be a good opportunity there, like in the next couple of years the Florida Panthers move to Houston, and maybe they could become the Houston Aeros or the Houston Apollos or whatever. And so that's that. And then so those, I'd say, are the top three relocation candidates for Houston. I would say the Coyotes and the Senators are more, I'd say, I would put them top of the list because they're looking for new stadiums and all that. So I'd say maybe those are the top ones if we're going to go the relocation route to convince. With the Panthers, we'll just have to wait for if they're going to be up for sale, so that one's there. So maybe the Coyotes and the Panthers are the best opportunity for relocation because of the struggles they go through. And also with the Coyotes, they're on this year-to-year lease, and the owner of the Coyotes did say that at the end of the year, he expects to have an arena announcement, so we'll have to wait and see there. So maybe if he can't get anything done, Houston is ready. And with the Ottawa Senators, if they can't find a solution, Houston is ready to take either one of those. And if the Florida Panthers are up for sale, Tillman Fertitta, get your ducks in a row and buy that team and move it here to Houston, and move it down to Houston. And with the other bit I brought up with expansion after Seattle, so it's possible that the league, could go beyond 32 teams. There was even a time back then when the league had 21 teams, and we never even knew the league would even go to 30 teams up until when the league went to 30 teams in 2000 with the Blue Jackets and the Wild. And we never even knew that the league would go to 32 teams with the Vegas Golden Knights and the Seattle Kraken. So that's that there. And who knows, maybe Houston will become Team 33, because when you look at it, the league prefers expansion over relocation, because with the expansion fees are worth more than the relocation fees. So, they may be looking at all these different things to help them recoup from the pandemic and all that stuff, from that the economic crisis. So they may be looking, expansion fees may help the league make more money, because, Vegas paid $500 million for for their expansion fee, and Seattle paid like $650 million for their expansion fee. because Houston is looking to be the next expansion relocation city for the NHL, which Houston seems to be more on the radar than Quebec City. And plus, Jeremy Jacobs, who is, head of the Board of Governors, wants Houston over Quebec. So with Houston, they can, because they probably will likely be the next relocation or the next expansion. So Houston, we could be Team 33, maybe along the ways when the Canadian dollar, we could see Quebec come after Houston if they expand beyond 30 to a 34, 36 team league. Like, let's say, Houston and Quebec City are teams 33 and 34. Who knows, maybe like with the other ones that come along, if it's a 36 team league, maybe we could see like Portland, Milwaukee, Kansas City, Atlanta getting a third shot. I don't think Hartford will ever get a second chance. They're kind of a tough sell because it's a small market there. And I'm not sure what the NHL stance or Board of Governors stance is on a return to Hartford. So they're kind of an iffy one, but I could see a third attempt in Atlanta over a second attempt in Hartford. And that's what I think. Who knows? That one could be one if they expand beyond 32. And all these other cities that crop up, maybe like Cleveland or Cincinnati, like markets like those could probably be like expansion in the future, which pretty much, we already have Vegas in 2017 and we're having Seattle in 2021. So probably along the lines, we could see Houston come up, and then probably later on we'll see like Quebec City coming back. And maybe we'll see all these other markets, like maybe the ones I brought up, for example. But this is all about Houston getting a team, and I'm all for either one, expansion or relocation. Doesn't matter to me who moves to Houston, or if the league, expands beyond 32. I'm all for either. So just give Houston a team, and we're good. And let's keep pushing for this. Let's keep spreading the word about NHL to Houston. Let's get our voices heard. Link in the description will be the petition and the GoFundMe crowdfunding campaign. So donate to that, which was the last video on this channel. And don't forget to follow us on social media at NHL to Houston on Twitter and Instagram. And also like the Facebook page, NHL to Houston. Also join the Facebook group, Help Bring the NHL to Houston, Texas, which I'll link that down in the description down below. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye.